Assalamu alaikum and good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever in the world you're watching me right now. Welcome to Mosan Ki Baitak episode number two. Thank you so much for the amazing response for the pilot episode of Mosan Ki Baitak. If you haven't checked it out yet, you can watch it on the Facebook page of Green Box. Mosan Ki Baitak is a series of 8 episodes about self help and personal leadership. I'm by no means an authority on these topics, but the idea is that we learn together and from one another. And a disclaimer that my knowledge of religious or political references made in these episodes is limited. So if you disagree with me or you have a better point to give in on an argument, please correct me. You can always write to me at mosin@thegbox.org or in the comments section. So I'm really happy to learn and learn as we move on. Now, the format of these episodes will vary throughout these 8 episodes that are lined up. Some of them would be live, or some of them would be recorded sessions, depending on my availability every week. So, if you want to send in questions prior to each episode, you're most welcome. Again, you can email me those at mosin@gbox.org. Once again, thank you so much for making these series a success, and I'm looking forward to learning more with you guys as we go along. Now, get yourself some coffee or tea or whatever you want because it's going to be a ride as we go on to learn the concept of light, really. Uh, now, just before I start, I would like to tell you why did I select this topic as the next topic to the first one. So the pilot episode was about the worthy stone, the idea that you're precious, you have all the properties within you which engulf the whole universe, right? So this is the first step to understanding that something may stem from within us. That could be light, that could be darkness, that could be anything. But you are a metaphysical being which possesses properties and they manifest themselves in different ways. That's the first understanding you need to have. So now we've agreed that you all are precious stones. You're not $2 stones. You're very much, maybe more valuable than diamonds themselves. Now, the next step is understanding what may come from within. And that is the concept of light or nur, which we are going to explore in today's session. Please let me know if you can hear me properly and uh, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask as we go along. Now, light can be seen as a very, in terms of physics or in a very metaphysical, spiritual concept. Uh, for instance, what would be the first thing that comes in your mind when you hear the word light? It's a form of energy. It's something that enables us to see. It's brightness produced by sun or the other stars. So that's what light would be to a normal, regular person. But metaphysically, it is also anything that helps us, you know, d- drive or disclose the truth of anything. For example, if there was darkness in this room and suddenly there's a beacon of light, I'll be able to see that there are books here, there's a table here, there is a cup here. So that's it's sort of enabling me to disclose the truth of something around me, right? And this sort of helping me manifest the reality. Now, light is considered to be self manifesting, which means that wherever there's light, you'll be able to see around, you'll be able to know what's going around us. In a way, it's an electromagnetic wave that passes through the eye in order to reveal the reality of sight, right? So the sense of sight only gets really active when you're able to see stuff with the light itself, right? So that's the concept of light in a very clear cut physical manner or even to some extent metaphysical. But the concept of light is ancient. It has been treated, debated, interpreted in various forms over the centuries, over 1,000 years. in different holy scriptures, in different world religions, especially Islam, Hinduism, Buddhism, Judaism, and Christianity. Uh, Especially, this has been imbued with this symbol of light. So the concept of light is more like symbolic. It just does not refer to the very ordinary form of energy. It sort of transcends to the higher purpose of what does it symbolize. So I'm going to give you a brief introduction into what different religions really talk about concept of light, and then we'll go on to see how this can help us uh, manifest in our own reality, in our own individual lives. These concepts are too big to be put together in a 30 minutes or 20-minute session, but I've tried my best to summarize it for just to learn and learn together about such concepts. Now, starting with Islam, the word used for light in Islam is nur. The word nur comes in the Quran for up to 49 times. Now, Islam sort of shows nur as a sense of visibility. It's very similar in practical concept as to what form of energy was the definition that it helps us see anything. So it talks about the concept of visibility. For example, Ghazali then goes on to explain the different forms of light, right? There is ordinary light and there is spiritual light. Now, ordinary light would be the light of the sun, light in the evening, which manifests through moon, or spiritual light, something, it's the perception of higher realities, the light of the God Himself, the light of the prophets, the light within us that is drives to the soul, and all these higher realities, that's spiritual light. So it's the sense of visibility, of knowing others or the reality around you. That's what Islam entails in regard to this. Now, the concept of light for Allah Himself or the God Himself is described in a verse in which the component comes where it says, Nur ala Nur, Nurul ala Nur, which is light upon light, light upon light, light upon light, whereas it's defined, God's light is defined as an infinite uh, guidance and light of the being. So there's this concept that this is infinite source available for the whole universe to uh, understand and use in terms of and seek guidance from spiritually and physically. So that's what Islam says. If we look at Hinduism, now Hinduism has a very similar concept, which was quite interesting for me when I was doing my research to see in Bhagavad Gita, one of the holy scriptures of Hinduism. Uh, so Brahma has been defined as the light of all lights. So they also believe that there is a being which sort of is light of all lights. And then the word used in Hinduism for light is, if I'm, pardon me if I'm not saying it correctly, Usak, and dark is Ratri. So these concepts of light versus darkness have also exist in Hinduism. Then the words like Bharata, then the Bha means light and Rata means devoted. So it's also this concept of enlightenment. It's very similar to when we go to Buddhism. Now, Buddhism also talks about one of the attributes of Buddha was that he was enlightened. Now, here enlightened means spiritual enlightenment or intellectual enlightenment, in which you suppress your sensual activities or this suppressing the worldly needs and uh, accepting that you are nothing and then you become everything. So this is a very twisted concept, but it becomes clearer if you understand that how spiritually we need to first get away with all the worldly needs, and then suddenly you reach that level of self-actualization. Then in Christianity, in the New Testament, it says that light is defined as knowledge, truth, and it's defined as something that takes away the darkness. And darkness is referred to as ignorance. So it's more like wisdom and knowledge versus ignorance. There's a verse which says, let there be light, and there was light. The God said, let there be light, and then there was light. So, what this means is there was then light of knowledge, reason, wisdom, and self introspection. So, it's sort of like a gift in a way. All the religions are telling you that, respectively, all religions say that you've been given this gift of light in which you now have the ability to see the reality, a reality that may be not just ordinary light. It is about a higher light, a higher purpose that needs to be explored. The next important component of understanding the concept of light is how different people have interpreted these concepts, especially mystical Sufis. I'm really inspired by the work of Maulana Rumi in this regard. And one of my favorites statements from or quotes from his work is, don't you know yet? It's your light that lights the world. Now, in a way, it engulfs the very essence of life itself and the concept of light that the God has, or the higher being has given you light, and now it's your turn to kindle it from within. Then he goes on to say, there is a candle in your heart ready to be kindled. Then at one place, he says, the wound is the place where light uh, can enter in you. So, in a way, he's giving you this notion that it is something within you already that you need to explore. Now, that's more about religions and Sufis, but literature has also used the concept of light a lot. I'm not going to quote a lot of people, but one of my absolute favorites is from JK Rowling's in Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. She goes on to say, happiness can be found even in the darkest of times if only one remembers to turn on the light. I think what's common in all these statements, now this is one of my analysis points, you may disagree with me, is that is this notion that it's already there. Now everyone is saying, don't you know it's your light that lights the world? Only if you remember to turn on the light. Or everyone is trying to say that it's something already there, which needs to be just used in a way or kindled, right? So so this sort of gives me this notion that we just have to embrace the presence of light. For us to be able to utilize it fully, we first need to accept that it's there. And that is, I think, something we sort of miss in our society nowadays, or within us. We forget that there is happiness or sorrow, grief, uh, knowledge, wisdom, everything stems from within. That within, that concept of within us is really important to first embrace. And this is something we need to accept. Once you have accepted it, then I think you can truly acknowledge the power of it and ask for more. Now, in Islam, especially, the concept of light has been explained in terms of wisdom, akal, or self introspection, or knowledge, right? So, and then Rumi goes on to say, I seek what is seeking you. Now, at first, it was very difficult for me to comprehend this concept. Like, what does it mean, like, seek what is seeking you? But in this, I think he's making a reference to that light within us all. That light is there, it is seeking us all. We just have to seek back. We just need to seek what is already given to us as a guidance or as a gift. And light, of course, is not ordinary light here. It refers to more metaphysical concepts like spiritually aligning yourself to learning more, doing more, morally, ethically, and spiritually. Now, I was really impressed by the work of Muhammad Allama Iqbal in this context. Now, very few people would really be able to bring both these works together, but I did try to go on to look what was Iqbal's concept of man or human. And then I kind of analyzed that where does this sit with this concept of light? Now, Iqbal gave us the concept of man not as an amoral, two legged creature without values, norms, or ethics. This is This is a being which has a set of values, which has a set of cultural norms, and should ideally have a set of ethics which go on. For him, man was not merely the center of the universe. Man was was the universe himself. And when I looked, Rumi said the same thing. He said, "You are the universe within you." So, and in my first episode, which I highly recommend you see, there we talk about this concept of how you are everything the universe engulfs. So, I think he was obsessed with the idea of man regaining the original noble heights of self actualization and wisdom and seeking that light. And for that, he gave us a tool. He uses this concept of Hudi. Hudi is this concept of self. Now, what he's trying to say is that you need to illuminate. He uses the word illuminate, which means to lighten something. You need to illuminate yourself, to decorate yourself, to be spiritually conscious and reach those moral heights. Now, why would a political and a spiritual guidance person give you these keywords to, you know, clinch on to? Because he's really giving you is this essence of life. He's trying to push you that if you really need to rebuild the social fabric of a community, if you want to do the nation building, if you want to just grow as a person yourself, you first need to illuminate, rekindle that spirit within you so that you reach those moral heights of values, norms, and ethics. So that's what my conclusion really is. I think that we have to work on rekindling us individual lights so that ultimately we can brighten up our social and cultural glory to its original glory itself. Uh, yeah, so with that, I'm going to uh, culminate today's episode. And I hope that we are inspired today to help not just ourselves find that light, but to helping others in our community to find that light as well. Just before I go, there is a section or a portion of my series in which you can ask me a question about myself or a question about yourself, or if you need guidance about. A very interesting question came to me from a guy named Ali last week when the first episode was released. He asked me that a lot of his friends bully him, and he's never been able to understand that how could he be a precious stone. Just to give you a context, in the previous episode, there was a story in which you could be a $2 stone, or your worth could be worth more than diamonds and all. And that was the idea that if you are a universe within yourself, then you must be really valuable. So each human has a value, and we need to respect that, and we need to value others as well. But then he sort of wrote to me that practically happening to him every day, then how does he really keep himself happy, motivated, and really bring the light within himself? I sort of thought about this and then shared a personal anecdote with him and gave him this. I guess I just shared with him that how did I manage with the similar experiences if mine were maybe less than his. But the idea is, I just told him that again, you need to switch on the light within yourself. You need to create a fortress around you. You need to know that your worth is more than what people are throwing at you, and it shouldn't matter to you beyond a certain point. So that is what seeking light really is. And I think that's how I bring it together for myself and for others, that you need to know that you are the candle from the world needs to accept, really. And there's nothing they can do to bring you down. So, uh, Ali and all those people who go through such experiences every day, I'm sure everyone does in one way or the other. Remember, again, I'm saying you are the universe within yourself. You are the light which the world should seek. So be that light, be that beacon of hope, courage, have those set of values, that people ultimately come around and realize that you've reached that level of self actualization where nothing else matters, but what matters is what is within you. So, thank you so much for watching today's episode. And I hope I'll see you next week. In episode 3, we'll be talking about, well, let's keep it a secret for now. I'll tell you in a few days to come. Thank you, and Allah Hafiz.